Hey everybody, it's Jeremy. Welcome back to EA Tetragrammaton, where we are playing This is turn 88. Let's jump into things. Alright, so we've got a couple of really big things happening this turn. Much more interesting of a turn than the last couple of ones. So let's jump into it, shall we? We have completed Thaumaturgy 7. Cool, that gets us a couple of different things. Mostly, though, we're just running up to Thaumaturgy 8. Gala 21 was attacked by Floatcat Horror. This is from our series of galas that are repeatedly producing endless bags of wine for us, because I have reached that point where I've basically just decided, fuck it, we'll sacrifice some galas and our armies will march on zero supply going forward. Nazar II, we captured some blood sacrifices. Nazar II has been attacked, so let's watch that. Always a fun scenario every single turn, just seeing whether or not my god dies again. So we are attacked by a horror. A horror absolutely has the ability to kill my god. Just depends on how it goes. So. Oh, he blinks back in. Does take a hit off our god and then gets smacked. Oof. Scary. Our god having a lot of experience bonus now, and then having so basically having a +10 to his attack is really working out for us in the fact that he's normally successful on his hits, and his hits do a lot of damage right now. It's very good news for us. Okay, so we survive the horror attack. Then Gala 47 is attacked by Brass Claws, dies. Okay. Then we have a bunch of battles, so let's watch these. We've got a battle in Arcadis. This is one of our raiders. We've got Isham 1 up against a fair number of units, but it doesn't matter. None of them are strong units. No? Isham 1 is not going to have any issue dealing with the Smash-a-Lasha. Very nice. Alright, cool. Then we get to witness a battle in Hexwoods as Blanca joins the fray. And this is actually a Daikini, 2 Flesh Eaters, Horned Helmet, Chainmail of Displacement, Girdle of Might, Warrior, versus still just a little bit of PD. Let's watch what the Daikini does. So Daikini Mist Forms, and Blesses. Okay, and the Bless, since we haven't seen it in a while, Shock Resistance, Fire Resistance, Defense, Reinvigoration, Regeneration, Strength, and Blood Surge. So, turns the already killy Daikini into a fucking murder machine, basically. We get Mirror Image, very cool. And the Daikini is Air 3, so that's a decent mirror image. Skeletal Body, so that's kind of a weird one to mix in. Kind of feels like he's just running out of buffs at that point, right? So what else can I put on me to make it better? And then carrying the single blood sacrifice, he uses that for reinvigoration. And starts off the battle with 0 fatigue. Very killy, especially as soon as he gets a kill. Blood Surge is going to proc, and he's going to be even more killy. He's going to be mowing people down. And this Daikini looks a little squishy, right? Low HP, protection for a thug or a super combatant is relatively low. Defense for a thug or super combatant relatively low. Right, magic resistance is kind of in that okay route. Morale isn't like super high or anything like that. So At first glance, this Daikini is relatively squishy, but there are layers of defense to the Daikini that are somewhat important. So, first of all, of course, the Daikini does have regeneration. And then having Fear, having Mist Form, having Berserker, right? So Berserker is going to take care of that morale issue. Damage Reversal, right? And then already high Reinvigoration with Girdle of Might, and just the Reinvigoration Bless, but also with Blood Surge will give another 2 Reinvigoration, which means that the Daikini should be encumbrance neutral, or fatigue neutral, right? So this thing, it's gonna hit really hard. It's going to take wounds on the occasion that you can get through the damage reversal and through the mist form. But that's just going to piss it off and make it hit harder and stick harder. Whereas you're going to lose lots of units, or if you have like a thug or something like that. The thing is how do you counter the Daikini, right? If you send a thug to kill the Daikini, then that thug might get chopped to bits before he gets to do anything. Sure, it might be able to kill the Daikini in a hit or two, but it's got to get those hit or two in while the Daikini is killing the shit out of it. Sending a whole bunch of units against the Daikini, probably not going to do anything. So your options are probably the best option against a Daikini like this, especially after witnessing it go through such a long buff cycle, is to send like a Soul Slay stack in, right? Is to just send either, people with the Soul Slay crossbow. That probably wouldn't be the greatest plan, but you could go that route. But more specifically, just sending in some Astrals, and while the Daikini is buffing, Soul Slay the shit out of it, basically. Especially if you can bring high Astral or Astral with penetration. Since the Daikini doesn't have very much magic resistance, absolutely how you could kill it. Which, by the way, is the exact same way you could super easily kill, like, my Isham. But the Daikini is a much better thug than what I've got going on. These things are super scary. Very, 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 very good. Very, very, very good. So, we watch, boom, just kills. Just murderates all the people. Every single turn, it's killing multiple people. Oh, and it flies, too. Yeah, it flies. Yeah. Nice. Very, very cool. Nice to see this type of thug out of Lanka. This is what I would be terrified of if and when Lanka eventually turns on me, right? Having 10 Daikinis like this be able to bounce around my lands, that would murder me in a matter of turns, right? That would just destroy me in a matter of turns. Ooh, hold up. No, he's got shock. Mist Form, Blessing. He's got shock 15. Okay, so I was thinking maybe, I could Cloud Trapeze a couple of people onto, because they're not stealthy. That's kind of like the only thing missing from the Daikini. They're not really stealthy. I could, in theory, Cloud Trapeze a couple people on there, and try to box her in with either Air Elementals or Gemmed Thunder Strikes. Gemmed Thunder Strikes would actually still potentially work, right? Because the Daikini... Actually, Gemmed Thunder Strikes could still work, because the Daikini only has 15 shock resistance. It wouldn't be great. I'd have to get very lucky. If I sent like 5 Cloud Trapezing Air Gudus onto a single Daikini, and all of them had multiple gems for Thunder Strike, and if I got 2 Thunder Strikes off from all 5 of them, I think that would probably work it. But that's a pretty heavy gem investment to kill a single Daikini. But that could work though, because, and again, the only reason being is she doesn't have very many hit points, right? So even she starts at shock 5. So if we could get a Thunderstrike off on her, a barrage of Thunderstrikes off on her before she got to do anything, then we might be able to pop her before she got her blessing off. But even after getting a blessing, Thunderstrike doing like 26 damage could eat through it if we were on target enough, and we. That's interesting. That's an interesting concept. Anyways, we have a battle at Mictlan. We're gonna skip that now because that's the big battle. We have a battle in Javalkish. And this is against the throne. So what do we have at the throne? We've got fire snakes. We've got a fire aura, heat aura, fire flare, magical bite. We've got a bunch of claymen. Cool. We've got a bunch of fire drakes, and the real head honcho here is the Netter of Kings, who looks pretty cool, right? This guy's dope. In fact, I would love to try to charm him. I probably should have tried to set up an enslave mind scenario. I didn't think about it, but I absolutely had the ability to go for that. But regardless, we'll watch as everything comes up. Our Pegasus riders are just out here shooting the shit. Alright, we've got Natural Storm up, we've got Light of the Northern Star, and it's funny, some of the Pegasus riders, it's weird, I don't know how that happened, but some of the Pegasus riders actually go up after the Natural Storm goes up, and then all of the rest of them don't. So that's very strange. Fog Warriors goes out. We've got Howl up, we've got Relief up. Get a bunch of Blade Wind going. And this is, man, this is way overcommitting for a throne like this. But more than the throne, we're moving an army, right? We got to keep that in mind. So this is an overcommittal for the throne, but we need the army in territory, so it's okay. That is that. Done and done. Easy peasy. We lose 4 Enkidu Spear Guards and 2 Pegasus Riders. Cool. Alright. We are attacked. Mictlan has taken his turn. We are attacked in Murius. So let's watch this. Holy shit, that's a lot of Ozelotls. Okay, so we got a bunch of Ozelotls, a bunch of Moon Priests here, and we've got a High Priest of the Sun. So High Priest of the Sun is casting Divine Blessing. Most of the other boys, they're all doing, well, I guess some of them are actually doing blessings. Most of the other boys are doing Body Ethereal. Ozelotls go up. This is like nothing. Ozelotls go up. Ozelotls come down. Woohoo! Goodness gracious. So nothing super special to see out of this. Really, this is just a shit ton of Ozelotls and a small contingent of Mage. The Ozelotls, of course, let's just revisit the Mictlan Bless real fast. Attack 2, Magic Weapons, Air Shield, Shock Resistance, Poison Resistance, Fire Resistance, Cold Resistance, Magic Resistance, Undying 6, Strength 4, Blood Surge 3. So this is a hella bless. Like, this is a pretty fucking intense bless. Bunch of... So they're basically resistant to evocations, in the most part, right? High damaging evocations like Thunderstrike are still going to do damage to them, but most mass evocations aren't going to be able to penetrate their resistances. They've got decent magic resistance with the buff being at 16, so they're not just going to turn over on or roll over on everything. magic resistance oriented. Undying 6 means their already high hit points are more of a pain in the ass. Strength 4 and Blood Surge 3 means that their decent strength is now very intimidating strength, right? Because one of the ways that you can normally deal with Ocelotls, depending on the bless that's taken with them, is they have a lot of attacks, but those attacks can be at a lesser amount of damage, right? You think this Ocelotl with a +4 strength, so if he was sitting on 16, he'd only be doing 18 damage with his bite and 16 damage with his 2 claws. You can easily get through that with like a thug, a high protection thug, right? But with strength +4, right? That's sitting at 22, 20. If they get a kill with Blood Surge, that's going to be 25, 23. And then if you do any other buffs on them, like if you get Strength of Giants on them, or you get like Blood Rush of Strength, right? Then these guys are approaching 30 damage per hit, and that's sketch. That's super sketch, right? Okay, looking off. So we have a battle in Faraway Sea. This is the final stronghold of Pangaea, and I realized something that I forgot. So in killing Pan, we this is the last Pan province, and we're gonna kill Pan, right? There's very little here. We're sending out a bunch of living water elements. We're gonna kill Pan, but in killing Pan, we actually Pan being alive, even though they're way down here and they're just one province. Pan being alive had kept Pan's dominion alive. Now that's all gone. So we have this huge chunk of land in our northwest that's suddenly about to have 0 dominion. And in the next couple turns, our dominion's just going to go and flood up there. And it's going to meet with the dominion from Hinam. So we're going to have a very interesting pattern of dominion change over the course of the next few turns. And we'll talk about it in a second. Let's just watch the glory that is living water. I kind of want to play an underwater nation. I've never played an underwater nation in a multiplayer game. Okay, so Faraway Sea is a win for us. We attack in Forced Along Nights. This is Ishib 19. Up against a small blood hunting contingent. Liquid Body, Moss Body, Bark Skin, Quicken Self. Whap, whap, whap. Easy peasy. Good job, Ishib 19. Another one. And then we are attacked in the Verdant Steppe. So in the Verdant Steppe, this is the Plague Wind. This is Pazuzu, who has nothing, right? So very interestingly, Mictlan has just thrown Pazuzu out here with no gear or anything like that. Pazuzu is a very interesting, very strong, is a Lord of Hell, right? So very high blood summons, super high air magic, pretty high blood mage, decent death, very high fear, immense shock resistance, and most importantly, as far as I'm concerned, is combat caster. So very, very cool. He does have storm power, and he does automatically cast natural storm. So that is very interesting. It's very interesting because his main contingent is all Ocelotls and beast bats, right? But Ocelotls, part of their great effect is being able to fly and envelop your enemy. Turning them, running around with someone like Pazuzu means that they turn into basic infantry. They have to just march forward. So it's very interesting. Also, he's got some sheds here. Sheds are really cool. We've just got PD, so we're gonna get demolished here. But it's just cool to see what he's got. He's got so many of these High Priests of the Sun, right? So many of them. He's got a couple of other things, but the big one is the Oniki and turkeys are actually. He's not really doing anything crazy here. None of these guys have gems, I believe. None of these guys have gems. He's just... I guess the Oniki does. He might be prepped to do something like darkness, because you keep in mind all of his people have dark vision 100, so maybe that's kind of a plan in the future. But right now, they're just, you know, he's just swinging. Swing, swing, swing. So, easy peasy. No squeezy. Alright. So that was battle on Verdant Steppe, and then we have the battle in Mictlan. So let's go ahead and watch this. And this is it against PD or no? We can already see heat from hell, so we're definitely up against something. Holy shit, we're up against something. Okay, so, this is a lot. This is a lot. We've got a bunch of beast bats. We've got a metric shit ton of ocelotls. Quite a few dragwire warriors, some province defense, and then about 1 billion blood sacrifices under the control of a very large contingent of mages, including a bunch of Priests of the Sun, some of the Tlalocues. We've got the one from the east, the one from the west. I think there's also a north and a south, but I don't believe that they are present in this battle. We've got some Onikis. We've got, of course, Beer, the goat son. This is a bunch. So we're gonna watch the battle from a zoomed out perspective, and we're gonna see how it goes. Okay, so Natural Rain is up, which is cool, but Natural Rain is not going to prevent the Ocelotls and Beast Bats from flying. Ocelotls and Beast Bats go up. Ocelotls and Beast Bats come down, and they completely envelop our army. And that's where I'm going to stop zooming out, and I'm going to start focusing in on this so we have a better way to see what's going on here. Because there are so many Ocelotls that they're basically, like, messed up in the back line here. Now, they do kill a fair number of us when they come down because we do not have our buffs fully up yet. This is a problem of relying on communions like we are right now. I would love to get away from this. Using Tartarians, using Enkidu shamans, etc. To be able to cast buffs sooner in a battle rather than later. But we do get things off. We get... so let's take a look. We've got Blood Rain from Mictlan. We've got Grip of Winter from Mictlan. We've got Heat from Hell from Mictlan. Natural Storm from us. Which is funny because these guys, I think Natural Storm just went up. Because these guys keep flying, but I think after that they stop flying. Relief goes up. We've got, at this point, we've got Army of Gold up. We've got Mass Regeneration up. We've got a lot going on. And then we get the first round of this. We get, boom, Bloodletting. And Bloodletting, it's this red mist everywhere, right? A Blood Mage uses a bunch of blood sacrifices to try to, like, pull the blood out of everyone on the battlefield. And it's magic resistance negates. And unfortunately, I think we actually do not have our... Oh, we do. Okay, so we do have magic bonus up or anti-magic up already. So we do okay, but we lose a couple people to that, which is rough. We get Fog Warriors up, but Fog Warriors really isn't going to be too terribly big of a deal. It's going to save us from one hard hit, and then we actually start, like, shotgunning people with Blade Wind, which is decently effective. You can see every time it goes through a block of Ocelotls, it tends to do a whole bunch of damage. Unfortunately, these guys have regeneration and they have a bunch of health. So if they don't get comboed down quickly, they just regen it. So that's kind of rough. Now that most of our scripting is done, we're kind of defaulting to things like anti-demon spells, which is not a bad plan. But we can already see that we have lost a vast number of our forces, and there's a crap ton of Ocelotls. And that's just the Ocelotls, right? We still got a bunch of Jaguar warriors. There's plenty of mages in the background still doing stuff. This is not looking great. Go ahead and increase speed real quick. But it seems like we might have stabilized, right? The Ocelotls aren't pressing, and then boom, we get a second bloodletting. And this one does a little bit more than the first. It's hard to see, but we've actually lost a couple of our mages on the inside here. And that actually did a bunch of damage across the way, right? So we get pushed in a bit more. I love our Yetis are just out fighting with these Jaguar warriors on the side, and they're doing okay, kind of. I say they're doing okay, but really, the Jaguar warriors have so many attacks compared in a square compared to the Yetis that they're not doing great. Can speed this up just a little bit. We got some enslaved mind coming out here or there. We're fighting. Things are going not great. The Yetis have been beaten, and then we're gone. So, natural storm breaks, and then all of a sudden you see people start flying again. And as natural storm breaks, we have mass flight up, so everyone just goes, boom, gone. Which is the only reason why we probably would have killed some more had we stuck around, but we would have been slaughtered to a man, basically, had we stuck around. And as it is, we only lose most of our force. It's a really fun battle. There's a bunch of stuff going on in this battle, and I could spend a whole lot of time going over all of the little bitty parts and pieces, but that's going to take a long time, and I don't have that much time, so I'm gonna kind of try to summarize some of the bigger, more important things that happen here. So one of the big things is that we were just very outnumbered in this particular battle, right? 370 troops versus 565 troops. He had almost as many Ocelotls as I had army, and if you combine the Ocelotls with the Beast Bats, he basically did have as much flying power as I had entire army, and that's why he was able to envelop my army so easily, and that was a problem, right? That's a very big problem. Being able to envelop my army, he actually, if you saw during the battle, he got on the front side of my army. We didn't have nearly as many people protecting that side, and he actually got into my mages relatively early on. Now, they held for a long time because they had, protection buffs and fog warriors and regeneration, and were semi-giants. So he didn't just immediately slaughter all of them and then destroy, but it definitely caused complications, caused problems. We didn't get to utilize nearly as much of our focus as we wanted to, or as much as our magic power as we wanted to, right? Another thing that caused, so that's one big issue. Had we had another 100 spear guards or another 50 chosen, 30 mushushus, basically, had we had a more comparable force, then that battle would have gone a little differently. we would have still lost, but it would have gone a little differently. So why would we have still lost? A couple of things. One of the biggest things being is that our reliance on our communion to put up valuable buffs means that we are delaying those valuable buffs until very later on in the battle. So one of the things that, if just changing nothing else but the singular thing, if I had had an Air Gudu with 2 gems start the battle off casting Storm, that might have been an entirely different battle. Period. I think if we take a look at it, let's check real quick. I don't remember if they're on hold and attack or not. So no, they are not on hold and attack. So probably wouldn't have mattered. It wouldn't have gotten. Well, we got Frostfend off. We got Divine Blessing off. We got Fanaticism off. It would have been questionable. Let's check something. See, so if we wanted to do Storm, for example, Storm is 200 cast time, so yeah, I don't think it would have mattered. Versus something like Fanaticism is 125, so yeah, we wouldn't have gotten Storm off. But that's just one example, right? So take the Storm with a grain of salt, but having so many buffs like Storm, well, no, Storm's not a buff, but having so many spells later on in a communion script, Fog Warriors, Mass Regeneration, things like Anti-Magic, or things like what's another one? Relief going up later on. I don't think we ever even got Howl, because I think the individual casting that, I'm pretty sure, got hit with Bloodletting and popped, right? So we've got a lot of different scenarios like that where, not that Howl would have mattered too much, but we've got a lot of different scenarios like that where we are having to wait longer to get those spells off because of our reliance on the community. And that just is what it is. So we've got that as an issue. And then another issue that we have is right now, with the design of this current army, we don't have multiple threats, right? We don't have multiple paths to victory inherent in the army itself. So we have communions that buff up our troops. We have communions that allow our mages to cast better spells. But our only path to victory is basically through spamming. I say spamming Thunderstrike, but it's really just buffing up our units and hoping that we can overwhelm the enemy. Thus, when we get paired up against something where they have more units, those units are as good or better, right? And they're also buffing their units, then obviously we're going to lose. We have to have multiple threats, multiple paths to victory. So what we need is some flying thugs, right? So in the middle of the battle, we need to be able to send thugs into their backline to start killing their leadership or their mages or things like that, right? We need different evocation spells to be able to throw into the mix so that our units have good responses to other things, right? We need tricks like Master and Slave, or you have to have multiple paths to victory, because we have a singular path and our path was basically matched by a better, stronger army. We lost. What was that? Alright, so anyways, we lost 240 units versus 96 units. It's a pretty crushing defeat, but we did kill a lot of his Ocelotls, which is good. That's great. Mictlan has significantly fewer units, is significantly fewer resources to pull from right now. So a loss like this, for me, right, losing 248 units, don't get me wrong, this hurts, but it's not the end of the world. And even if it was, honestly, like, at this point in the game, I don't really care that much, right? We've talked about this. I don't really care about losing or winning anymore. I just care about getting rid of astral corruption. The only sadness that I have is that his god, Smoking Mirror, was here. Ooh, let's actually check. I have yet to check this. I do not know if this is the case. I just assume that it is. So let's see if we can find his god, Smoking Mirror. Him? Yeah, Smoking Mirror. He's got 2 global enchantments. Okay, so if we had been able to snipe him and get rid of the astral corruption, then that would have been flippin' fantastic. That would have been great. By the way, this guy is Astral 9, so he can do things like Wish. He can do things like Master and Slave, etc. Right. I want to just see. Let's watch the beginning of this battle again as everything goes up, and it just fucking just wholly encircles. And you can see. So this is what I was talking about with it. If we watch when there, so as he reorganizes, they go back up again and they come down a second time. You can see there's a very thin line of defense, and in fact, like this front line is Ishib's. So he has people right into my mages almost immediately. Though this line does hold for a very long time, it doesn't hold as long as the back line, obviously. Right? So, anyways, that's cool. We lost. What are we going to do now? Let's go through the rest of the turn. We've got population loss in Gaeta. We have more issues in Troll Peaks. We gain some gems in Ross. We lose some people in Swande. Deadly disease continues to run rampant in Troll Peaks. In Verdant Steppe, where Pazuzu is, there's another deadly disease. That is specifically because of him. And Verdant Steppe has been breached, so we will lose that next turn. Weeping Willow has been permanently vanquished. What's our plan? So most of the rest of the game is just basic movements, moving people around, continuing to research, aiming for Thaumaturgy 8. With 7, we didn't really get too terribly much, except one of my favorite spells being Charm. So that's pretty cool. Not super useful to us at the moment because we don't have a crap ton of high nature casters. But it can be useful in the right situation. And then, so we're moving basic units around, etc., etc. We are moving forces from Jabal Kish into Trackless Wastes. I do not anticipate being attacked immediately from Verdant Steppe, because he can't just jump the water. Same reason as I can't just attack him back in Verdant Steppe. So he's probably going to take Verdant Steppe, and there's probably not going to be much we can do about it, which is annoying. But we should be able to defend Trackless Wastes and the rest of our northeastern border. And in the meantime, we're going to start putting up forces in Jabal Kish. Or putting up palisades in Jabal Kish. So, should be fine. And we are claiming what is the Throne of Eternal Suffering. So, this is going to knock our misfortune back to where it was, which kind of sucks. Especially since, if we take a look over here, we have no Dominion in Operi and in Assad now. That's the Pangaea Dominion being suddenly wiped out. All of these lands, which had Pangaea Dominion still, it's suddenly gone. So our Dominion is going to flood into those lands very quickly, which means we're going to lose the Luck 3 in Assad and Operi. Meaning that eventually transforming these Enkidu Shaman, we're going to have much worse results at Misfortune 2. But we're going to take the Misfortune 2 anyways, because spreading Dominion, it's 3 Dominion spreader, is going to be very important for us. Again, our main goal is to get back to the point to where we can cast and forge without the issue of astral corruption, and then we're going to put up Gift of Health and things like that and try to use that to have a pretty defensive win. Order and productivity is going to help us produce more gold, which we are incredibly heavily reliant on, which our upkeep just dropped by like 1,000, so that's nice. So we are going to claim the throne this turn, and we're going to see how it goes. Okay. Other than that, the only really big stuff happening is we do have some survivors from the battle on Mictlan, and we're going to try to get them to safety. So the ones in Traturn are able to fortunately all move safely into our territory, either all the way back to Carrion or to Gaeta, at least. So that's pretty good. But then we have these troops here in Arcadis and Swande who aren't able to move that far, and they're going to have to do a little bit of soul searching. So we're actually going to attack Mirius. I've already checked. Mictlan has taken their turn. So my hope is that they are going to move this army out of Mirius, and that we are going to move in behind them, and we are going to be able to... I have everyone on bodyguard, basically. We're going to be doing some Iron Warriors spam. We're going to make some water elementals. We're going to make some air elementals. We are going to put up Storm by just casting it straight up with a Gudu, right? So we're still going to have Storm power. I have Isham 3 out here doing a whole bunch of Creeping Doom just to create chaff, right? And I'm actually sending Isham 1 and Ishib 19 to try to escort the remnants of this force out of Mictlan territory. Now, if we take a look, Mictlan really doesn't have very much left, right? And Hinam is pressing down on them. Now Lanka is taking locations as well. So I'm not super worried about Mictlan being this all-powerful force that is going to eventually win the game now. I think they are definitely going to lose. It's just, what is the scenario? How long is it going to take? When can we get rid of astral corruption? I think we're putting together another force to be able to head back into things as quickly as possible. It will not take us very many turns, truth be told. We'll probably steal some communion individuals from down in Kailasa. And it shouldn't be too big of a deal before we are able to put together another strike force. And we're going to try to mix in some better options. But again, we got to deal with astral corruption. So forging things and casting ritual spells is relatively off the plate unless we want or are willing to sacrifice certain mages. But the question is going to be not if Mictlan goes down, but the question is going to be how long does it take, and am I able to respond after astral corruption goes down to be able to solidify my borders, kick the forging and ritual casting back on, get my globals back up, and go from there. And we're just sitting on gems. We're sitting on piles and piles and piles and piles of gems. All right, that is going to be it for the turn. It was a pretty long one because that was a very big battle in Mictlan. Very cool battle, honestly. I say very cool battle. It's a very typical late game battle. I hate astral corruption. All right, that's going to be it from me. Thanks for watching. I will see you all next time. Bye, everybody.